Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Talk of the Tiger. I'm your host, Paul Brown. He's the rock star, Jim Peterik. We're going to talk about a bunch of things today. We've got a couple of world stage shows that happened. One of them was a benefit for a very great cause. We've got a special trip that you made to Los Angeles to work with an old friend. We've got a brand new video released from the Second World Stage Roots and Shoots album, and we got an old tune that was sitting in the vaults that got new life, and we got a special thing that's coming up in tribute to the late Jimi Jamison. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's get to it right here. First off, how are you doing this morning?
So good. I'm feeling great. You know, when you look back at the last couple of weeks, it's like impossible to think all this stuff happened. In Chicago and Seattle, working with Ron Nevison, all these things that I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, it was a busy time. You've been on the road a lot. So So first off, let's talk about that. So we had a world stage of concert, and it was up in Des Plaines at the Des Plaines Theater, and the lineup was Toby Hitchcock from Pride of Lions. It was Ray Parker Jr. from Ray Parker Jr. and Radio,
That's right.
and we also had David Pack, formerly of Ambrosia, and we had special guest star Mindy Abear.
Yeah.
So
Secret
secret special
unannounced.
guest star.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about, I mean, that was a fun show. Talk about it a little bit.
Well, I mean, to be surrounded with all this talent, I feel like just a cog in a giant puzzle. You know, um, I do my thing, but I'm like at a show. I'm watching everybody else as I'm playing and just amazed at David Pack and Ray Parker Jr. He's just such a wit, and I mean a sharp wit. And, Mindy Abear and Toby Hitchcock, who, you know, is one of the greatest voices I've ever worked with. After Jimi Jamison passed, he kind of became my new voice to inspire my writing, and he never disappoints.
And he was on fire that night, man. I mean, just nailed everything.
Well, his wife was in the audience, which helps. And she's just a sweetheart.
Yeah. And it's fun when you and Ray Parker Jr. are there because you both have the big movie song. I mean, you've got that tiger
The
thing.
Tiger thing, and he's
Yeah,
got the Buster thing.
exactly.
Uh,
So
who are you going to call? I mean, talk about a one-two punch, and in the shows with Ghostbusters and then Tiger, man, you
yeah.
can't beat that.
Yeah, I mean, and huge sing-alongs for the audience. And it was a lot of fun. So definitely. And then Mindy started the show out with you, and Mindy is always a blast. Such an incredibly talented and kind-hearted person. I mean, absolutely just a total sex goddess. I mean, she's
Did
whether
you
it
say,
be
wait, sex goddess? Oh, sex,
sax.
sex, both. But
Yeah. Whether it's the, as she calls it, stadium jazz, or the
yeah,
smaller, more intimate stuff, or the rock or the blues.
yeah,
I mean, she's just so good.
yeah, she is. And we opened both shows, both here and in Seattle, with a friend like you, which we wrote together. And it really brings the audience in. A friend like you is hard to find. Can't count the times I leaned upon your shoulder. It's just everybody relates to it.
Exactly. And then, with the exception, you left Toby home because
I don't
you
want to
take
put it
don't
like
take Toby on the road. He misbehaves a lot.
that.
So you packed everybody up, and then you headed up a couple days later. You headed up to Seattle to
Yeah.
do the thing all over again for the In Concert for Cancer charity.
Yeah. Jazz Alley is just a great club in Seattle. Michelle Abrams is the Sherpa. She's amazing, her energy. She was on the phone with Bob Berglund, 2 months before the show. Bob had a file that thick of details from Michelle Abrams. I mean, she lives this show. And that night, just that night alone, we raised $100,000. But that's just the tip of the iceberg because donations are flowing in. I'm sure we'll reach, 500,000. You know, pretty amazing for the cancer cause.
Yeah. It's a good thing. And it, like you mentioned before, it's touched pretty much all of us in one way or another. So the sooner we can cure that, the better.
Yeah, on stage, I told the story of my mother, and I was 8 years old, and I hear this commotion in the bedroom and tears from my mother and father, and that's when she was diagnosed as breast cancer. And about a month later, she had a double mastectomy and saved her life, and she lived another 50 years and died of natural causes. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's touched all of us.
it has. Now, right before all of that happened, you and Larry hopped on a plane and you said Berwyn goodbye and you headed back out to Los Angeles to work with an old friend,
Oh man.
legendary producer Ron Nevison.
Yeah, I mean, to get back with Ron, it was really amazing. I mean, he produced two of the well, he actually produced three Survivor albums. The first one he didn't get credit on, long story, but When Seconds Count and Vital Signs were his albums. And he's one of these guys. He's not a musician, but he's super musical.
Mhm.
And I'd be sitting at the piano, and he'd be watching me. And he says, "Well, put that chord there and that chord there." And I said, "Ron, it won't work." He goes, "Try it." I tried it. It worked. And I can't remember what song it was, but it became a big hit. So Ron is still that guy. He's pushing 80 now, but he's as sharp as a tack and such a great guide.
And if you look him up on like Wikipedia and you look at the credits of everybody he's worked with and everything he's produced, he is truly one of the legendary rock and roll producers of all time.
Oh, yeah. Bad Company, Led Zeppelin, nobody big.
Yeah. So, can you talk about that project, or is that something that we're gonna let a little bit out later on?
Well, bring a little bit out now.
Okay.
Jim Peterkin World Stage, The Power of Two, and it's all duets. I'll leave some of the details, for the future. But of course, Toby Hitchcock will be a part of it. Bree Gordon, my great discovery from Chicago. Katie Hart, who Ron turned me on to. He's producing Katie Hart. And Hart probably is not her real last name, but she idolizes Hart and Ann Wilson. And she sounds just like her. The
Uh,
range, the spirit. I can't wait to work with her.
cool. Can't
And
wait
she
to
lives
hear.
in Minneapolis, so just a hop, skip, and a jump to Chicago.
Yeah, can't wait to hear that. All right, so we've got another world stage album that's just beginning to look forward to. So that's exciting. So, and can't wait. Now, speaking of world stage, we just released a new video from World Stage Roots and Shoots Volume 2, a song called American Dreamer, which you sang with Dave Mikulskis. And that video is out there and it's gaining traction. And I'll post the link down in the thing, but that's a killer song.
Yeah, it couldn't be forgotten. This is something that I just took upon myself, and I told Frontiers, look, I'm doing this. You don't have to pay for it. This song has to be out there. So I self-financed it, and Dave came over and we did the video. American Dreamer, may you shine like the sun. I mean, Mikulskis is kind of my new JMO. I mean, no one will replace JMO, but Dave is just an amazing singer, and I was honored to sing it with him.
Yeah. So check it out because I mean it's catchy. It's got all the hooks, it's got the harmonies. It's just a fun song. So I'm really glad it's out there. So Speaking of fun songs that we're glad is out there, there's a song you wrote a long time ago that I've had in the archives that I've loved that I couldn't, I kept trying to think over the years who would be good for this. And then our pal Frank Pappalardo comes along and says, "Hey, I know who." So it's a song called Reckless Love, and legendary Chicago band M&R Rush just cut their version of it, produced by Frank,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. I mean, when Marty from M&R Rush sent it to me, I listened to it, I'm like, that is absolutely the way that song should be done. So tell me a little bit about the history of that song.
Well, that has to go back like 30 years
Yeah.
with the original version. And I wrote it for them. Reckless love in this world. It was just this raw rock and roll song. And I'm, Pappalardo always loved that song, never forgot it. He produced the original one. And now this new version, just incredible. I'm so glad it got second chance.
Yeah, and I'll put the link to their video of it down in the notes too. I mean,
Great.
listen to it. I mean, it's a song I've been listening to for years. I'm glad the rest of you can hear it now too. Did you write that just as a produced demo, or was it written for somebody in specific? Do you remember?
It was for M&R Rush.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
Pappalardo called me, I need a song. And I wrote Reckless Love, because I liked the band. I
yeah.
saw them live. I think we even opened, or they opened for the Ides of March. Anyway, I know they're the real deal, and they had that raw power and great singing. So they inspired it, really.
And how about that? And then finally got around to releasing it, and they nailed it. So
They did.
it came around. All right, now speaking of special projects. This year is unfortunate, and it's really hard to believe, is the 10th anniversary of the loss of, our brother Jimi Jamison. And we are working on a special project that we're going to be doing some filming for tomorrow. And we'll talk more about it, but it's a tribute to Jimmy with something that should have seen a lot more exposure back then, and we're going to work on that now. So,
Well, yeah, it's great to see this new album, new old Jimmy Jamison album come out. Uh, Jeremy Holiday was key in the re-release of, well, the release actually of songs that no one's ever heard by Jimmy Jamison. The last album he ever recorded, Jimmy Wayne Jamison. And I guess to call it country is a little broad. It's really Jamison country. It's really rock with a little bit of a country edge. But I'm so excited that it's out there on Iconoclastic Records
yeah,
because of Jeremy Holiday.
yeah, and I agree. Like the other one. I mean, I've had the demos, or actually they were finished songs that I've been. It's like, oh God, I wish other people could hear it, and I'm glad that Jeremy did that because, and there's just enough of a twang in that Memphis voice of his that it kind of gives it that flavor, but it's not straight country. I mean, if you like Jimmy and anything he's done, you're gonna like it. And the project that we're doing is a tribute to Jimmy as well. So,
Yeah,
it's the year to celebrate Jimmy. And
it is.
it's sad that he's gone, but I mean, the music is out there, and as long as we keep playing it and we keep listening and remembering, he's never really gone.
Now, Jimmy's with me. I think of him all the time. He was, as a writer, well, singer and a songwriter myself, but as a writer, he was the voice that probably inspired me the most. I probably never would have written The Search Is Over if I didn't have that voice in my head,
Yeah.
knowing how he would sound. I mean, Dave Bickler was an amazing singer as well, but when he left and Jimmy took over, it opened up a whole another vein of my writing, and I'll never forget him.
Yeah. All right. Um, the shirt I'm wearing today, I don't know if you That's Henry Lee Summer. You remember
Or
him?
I love him.
The
And the,
very first world stage Indianapolis rocker. He's
yeah,
been there forever. Very first world stage I was at was that outdoor one in Arlington Heights
yeah,
where it was cold.
freezing. And
Yes.
we performed his great song that we wrote together, "In the Arms of Love." He was a hilarious guy. I
Yeah.
guess Evansville, Indiana, was that his?
Yeah, his main market was kind of like Indianapolis, but I think he was probably
Yeah.
from there.
And I
He
would,
had a big hit with "I Wish I Had a Girl Like That"
right, that was
back in
his
the 80s.
breakthrough. Yeah. But I remember going out there to write with him, and we would go to this kind of a diner, but you would stand in line and get food, before we started writing. And by the end of the time, he would have eaten all the chicken skin off of the chicken. I'll never forget that. He was just a wonderful guy, is a wonderful guy.
Yeah,
And
he's still out there. So if you're in that area, you get a chance to see him. Because my one of my best friends and my college roommate Barry was from Indy, and he's the one who introduced me to him originally, and he
uh,
went to see him any chance he could. So
yeah. Well,
uh,
check out the song we wrote together, "The Arms of Love."
all right,
It's a killer.
will do. All right, I believe we've talked enough.
That,
So
that's our podcast.
there we go. So thank you very much, and make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. You hit the little bell thing so that when we put new ones out, it tells you. And rock out. Follow the links down there and watch those new videos and have a good time. And we will talk to you next time we do this, probably a couple of weeks. So have a good day,
Thanks,
Jim,
Pablo.
and
All
I'll
right.
see you
Bye.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.
Great God in heaven, you know I love you.